You have probably done this before. You sit down on the sofa after a long day. Your dog is right there, either next to you or across the room. You call their name. They lift their head, look you right in the eye for a second. Then they slowly turn around and put their back to you. They do not walk away. They do not leave the room. They just turn their back. And you sit there, staring at their back, feeling a little something, small but real, that feels a lot like rejection. Most people interpret that moment in exactly one way. The dog does not want to be near you. The dog is ignoring you. The dog is choosing their own space over yours. That interpretation feels completely logical, and it is completely wrong. What animal behavior research shows about that exact moment is not indifference. It is not rejection. In the language your dog is actually speaking, a language written by tens of thousands of years of pack survival, turning their back to another living creature is one of the highest signs of trust they are capable of showing. You are not being ignored. You are just reading it completely backward. And by the end of this video, in the very last section, there is a variation of this behavior that most dog owners never notice. When your dog stops doing this, that is when you really need to pay attention, because in that moment, they are saying something completely different. The problem is not that you are misreading your dog. The problem is that you are using the wrong dictionary. Humans read dog behavior through a human lens, and in human language, turning your back means rejection. It is a withdrawal, a refusal to connect. That mapping makes sense in our world, but dogs do not speak that language. They speak a different one, written by the pack, by status, and by survival. And once you learn that language, everything you thought you knew starts to take on a completely new meaning. Let us start with why this misinterpretation happens in the first place, and why it happens to almost everyone. When owners talk about the moment their dog turns away, they almost always use the exact same phrase: being ignored. The dog looks back for a split second, then turns away. The dog is sitting next to you, then slowly pivots. That feeling is surprisingly consistent, not because it is right, but because we are all using the same set of rules to read them. In human communication, body orientation is a direct signal of attention and intent. Facing someone means you are engaged. Turning your back means you have disengaged. This is a social cue deeply hardwired into human social cognition, and we carry it over when reading dogs without even realizing we are doing it. But dogs do not operate on that same system. And when you force one language onto a species that has evolved a completely different one, you are not just misinterpreting them. You are missing out on what your dog is actually trying to tell you in that very moment. To understand why, you have to go back in time long before dogs were pets. The back is a blind spot. There are no fangs there, no eyes, no defense mechanisms. In the wild, every predator knows this, and every prey animal knows it too. The blind spot is where an attack comes from. And in an environment where survival depends on split-second reactions, trusting anyone with that blind spot is one of the riskiest decisions a living creature can make. Data in behavioral ecology shows that among social animals, including the direct ancestors of dogs, turning your back completely to another individual only happens consistently in two scenarios. The first scenario is when that individual is judged to be absolutely zero threat. The second scenario, which is even more important, is when that individual is trusted enough to guard that blind spot for you. Turning away in dog language is not an act of indifference. It is the result of an assessment, made after a process of observation that you do not even see. Your dog looks at you and decides that you are the safest creature in that room to trust with the most vulnerable part of their body. That is not rejection. That is an offering. Now, let us go back to that moment from the beginning of the video, but this time, with a different dictionary. Your dog lies down, slowly turns around, and puts their back to you. Let us reread that moment. In studies of canine social behavior, scientists have noted that dogs adjust their body orientation based directly on the level of threat they perceive in their surroundings. Around strangers, in unfamiliar spaces, or in situations where their nervous system is on high alert, dogs will almost always maintain a face-forward positioning. This is to keep maximum visual awareness so they can react in a split second. Facing forward toward you, in your own home after years together is not actually a sign of intimacy. It is vigilance disguised as companionship. When your dog turns their back, they are doing the exact opposite of vigilance. They are shutting down a part of their warning system. And that system only shuts down when their environment is judged to be completely safe, or when the person standing behind them is trusted enough to keep watch for them. You are not the person they need to keep an eye on. You are the person they can finally stop keeping an eye on. If you have ever looked closer, you will notice something else. Your dog does not turn their back to the wall. They do not turn their back to the door. They do not turn their back to a stranger walking into the house. Your dog turns their back to you. In the behavior of wolf packs, the direct ancestors of dogs, pack members always arrange their bodies when resting in a way that creates coverage for all directions. Each animal watches a section of the perimeter. The individual standing behind your back is the one you trust the most in the entire pack. The position behind the back is not the position of someone being ignored. It is the position assigned to the most trustworthy individual. This behavior did not disappear during domestication. It was simply redirected from the pack to the household and from fellow wolves to humans. When your dog turns their back to you to rest, they are not ignoring you. They are assigning you the role of the most trusted guardian. They are saying, "My blind spot is yours and I trust you with it." In the language of the pack, that is the highest position you can ever be granted. If you care about what this channel does every week, this is exactly what we do. Subscribe. There is no need for any other reason than what you just felt over the past 3 minutes. There is a moment that many owners recognize but have never put a name to. After a long day, a day where you bring home much more than just a tired body, your dog lies down next to you, presses their back against you, and with every breath they take, their body begins to let go. Not all at once, but over time, as if something in their system recognizes that this is the place where they are finally allowed to stop. In 2020, a research team at Linköping University in Sweden published a discovery about the physiological synchronization between dogs and their owners. The data showed that after living together for a long time, the cortisol levels of dogs and humans tend to synchronize, meaning the stress systems of both bodies begin to fluctuate in harmony. When one individual is in a regulated state, with slow breathing, relaxed muscles, and a stabilized nervous system, the nearby individual tends to co-regulate along with them. Dogs actively use physical proximity and body orientation to trigger this process. Turning their back to you is not your dog detaching from you. It is your dog leaning in a very real physiological sense. They are using your presence as an anchor so their nervous system can find its way back to a state it knows is safe. You are not just someone they love. You are the place where their nervous system knows how to rest. But not every turn back carries the same message. And this is the crucial part, because the exact same behavior, in different contexts, can say vastly different things. When your dog turns their back and lies down right next to you, with a relaxed body, a neutral tail, and slow breathing, that is the clearest sign of trust. No further explanation needed. When your dog turns their back and moves further away, you need to read the rest of their body. If their body is loose, their tail is in a natural position, and there are no signs of tension, they are just looking for their own comfortable space, not avoiding you. But if their body is tight, their ears are flat, and their tail is low, that is a completely different signal, which is about drawing boundaries or showing discomfort. And there is a third variation, when your dog turns their back immediately after an interaction, especially after you touch them or approach them in a way they are not entirely comfortable with. Behavior researcher Turid Rugas calls this a calming signal, which is one of the ways dogs de-escalate tension without confrontation. It is not rejection, and it is not avoidance. They are trying to reduce the pressure for both of you, in the most polite and subtle way they can. Dog language is not a single word. It is a full sentence, and you need to read the whole sentence, not just one word out of context. Behavior does not speak alone, it speaks within context. And now for the part mentioned at the beginning of the video. There is something that most owners fail to notice, not because they do not care, but because when it happens, It happens so gradually that it is almost invisible. If your dog used to have a habit of lying with their back to you, regularly, consistently, for months, and then, at some point you cannot quite pinpoint, they start lying facing you more often, or choose to lie a bit further away, or simply stop lying right next to you altogether, most owners do not ask questions. They think the dog is just looking for a cooler spot, changing their habits, or just going through a phase of wanting some personal space. Sometimes that is true, but in veterinary behavioral research, a change in baseline behavior, especially behavior related to proximity and body orientation toward the owner, is one of the very first indicators that researchers and veterinary behaviorists look for when assessing a dog's overall well-being. It is not because every change is a sign of danger, but because dogs do not change their baseline behavior without a reason. It could be a new source of stress in the environment that you have not noticed yet. It could be a shift in the household dynamic. Or it could be that their body is going through something they have no way of telling you in words. Your dog has learned to live in your world in a way that no other species on Earth ever has. They have learned your voice, your daily routine, the moments when you need comfort, and the moments when you need to be left alone. And through all those years, they have been leaving tiny signals, moments of body language, that up until now have mostly gone unread. Turning their back is one of those signals. Now you know what it means. The question is never whether your dog is talking to you. The question is always, are you listening? Most owners love their dogs completely. But loving and understanding are not the same thing. The gap between those two, that is exactly what this channel exists to bridge. Let me know in the comments. Does your dog do this often? And how did you interpret it before watching this video? I read every single comment. If this video changed something about how you look at your dog right now, subscribe. That is exactly what we do here every single week.